So there is a difference between them, that the hedge funds and mutual fund is that the former does not reveal anything about its operation publicly. That means hedge fund do not mention whatever activities they are performing to the public, and charges a performance fee, which is unlike the mutual fund where you have to mention all the details to the public and publicly you have to give the information. Okay. Hedge funds are aggressively managed portfolio of investment that uses advanced investment strategies such as leverage, long, short, and derivative positions in both domestic and international markets with the goal of generating high returns. So it is more focused like and functioning like a stock shares in which you invest. Okay, so you use various strategies in investing into stock exchange or rather shares. So these strategies are used into hedge funds. The hedge funds are most often set up as private investment partnership that are open to limited number of investors and require a very large initial minimum investment. They are more risky variant than mutual funds. Naturally, when you are investing and using various strategies of stock exchange, that would be more risky. And if there is a high risk, there would be a high return also. Okay. So why there is a high amount of risk involved into it? Okay. So hedge funds are extreme take extreme position in the market, including short selling in the investment. Okay, there is one example which has been quoted, that just you go through this example in detail further. In a normal long position, that means uh, when you are trying to uh, be in the stock market, what do you do? The investors buys a share at a say rupees 50. The worst case is that the investor loses his the entire amount invested. That is the maximum loss is rupees 15 per share. So it is these are the terms related with the share market. Okay, long position, short selling. So you can read further into the stock exchange study also. Okay, so I will not go through in detail related to it. Okay. Borrowings in normal mutual fund accept money from unit holders to fund their investment, and hedge fund invest a mix of unit holders fund, that is which are in nature of capital and borrowed fund loans. Okay, so what do there is a difference, that uh, both of them have a different purpose of investment or way of investment. Unlike capital, borrowed funds have a fixed capital servicing requirement even if the investors investment are at the loss. Loan has to be serviced. Okay, and however, if the investors earn a return benefit, a return better than the cost of borrowed fund, the excess helps in boosting the returns for the unit holders. So more risk is involved into hedge funds, and they do not try to publicly explain or publicize the information that how do what are their strategies, how do they invest. So as such, there is a high amount of risk involved, and the unit holder also at times get a higher returns about in return to that to the normal mutual funds. Okay, next one is, what do we mean by the concept of load and no load? All right. So a load is that one that charges a percentage of NAV. Okay, for entry or exit, and load structure in the scheme has to be disclosed in its offer document. Load means a particular kind of percentage of fixed charges on NAV you have to pay whenever you enter or you exit into buying, or rather when you get out of the mutual fund. Suppose the NAV per unit is in rupees 10. If the entry as well as exit is rupees 1% is charged 1%. So naturally, how much we are going to require to pay? We would be requiring to pay 10 rupees and 10 paise. That is 10% of 10% plus 10 plus 1% of rupees 10. Okay. Likewise, other funds who repurchase the mutual fund will get in rupees n minus 1% of 10, that is 9.90%. Okay. Now the most important thing is that currently in India, the exit load charge is credited to the scheme, right? It is already credited to the scheme. It is not to be separately mentioned. Okay, charge. It is already included. What is no load? A no load is the one that does not charge any charge for entry or exit, right? So whenever you enter or exit, you are not being charged. Okay, and finally here you can see the SEBI has mandated that no entry load can be charged for any mutual fund scheme in India, right? So whatever load fund was there, okay, whatever load you could charge earlier times, that has been now stopped by SEBI. Okay, so there are various tax saving schemes under the Income Tax Act 1961. These are equity linked savings schemes. Thereafter, Rajiv Gandhi equity savings schemes. Okay, so it gives tax benefit under ATC and respectively ATCCG. It could be also one of the questions which could be asked. Thereafter, pension schemes which were launched by mutual fund also offer tax benefits. Okay. So here you can see categorization of mutual fund schemes. Okay. So equity schemes, debt schemes, hybrid schemes, solution or oriented schemes, and other schemes. So these are the categorization of schemes, and as such, an investor can evaluate that where he, according to his need, he want to invest. Now, how a person can invest into mutual fund? Via physical mutual fund application form, or through online website mutual, or through mobile app, or through AMFI registered mutual fund distributors, that is using physical form, online or mobile app. So investment modes, that is lump sum, that is one time money you can invest into it, or through SIP. We are aware about systematic investment plan. So every quarterly or as per your choice you can invest into that plan. Thereafter, various investment modes, that is direct mutual fund and regular mutual fund. So direct mutual funds are directly offered by fund houses, and regular are bought through an intermediary. Okay. Similarly, direct mutual fund involve no involvement of third parties, whereas regular mutual fund involves brokers, advisors, and distributors. As such, there is direct involvement, so no commission or brokerage is there, whereas in regular there is a brokerage. Fourth one, have no expense ratio, because there is no expense commission, whereas in regular mutual fund there is high commission or high expense. In direct mutual fund you have high NAV as compared to regular mutual fund, and the return is higher as compared to regular mutual funds in direct mutual funds. Okay. So there are other options we can understand, that is growth option, dividend payout option, and dividend investment options. The growth options are directly related to the shares, where you focus on the in pattern where you try to make your growth or your gains in the portfolio. Okay. Thereafter, dividend, the fund declares various dividend of the realized profit, and as such you get the dividend which is paid out from whatever investment you have done. Okay. And thereafter, dividend reinvestment option, whatever dividend you have got, so additional is reinvested in the same scheme by addition of buying the additional units. Okay. Thereafter, statement of additional information and scheme information documents. So how you can check your information of the offer document. Okay, so these are the two methods you can go through on the website. Okay. So thereafter, what are the levels of mutual fund schemes? So there are as such 6 levels on the riskometer. Right here you can see 6 stages: low, low to moderate, moderate, moderate to high, high, and very high. Okay, so this is the riskometer. Okay, and what is the importance of it? It helps to assign the risk to the fund that carries the risk profile. So whenever you buy any mutual fund, you would get this particular riskometer and the risk, how much risk is involved, that is mentioned there. Okay, so number one, you can see equity as a asset class, that is volatile, high risk; debt as an asset class, that is stable and low risk; and hybrid, that is moderate, depends on the pattern what you invest. So net asset value, right? What is that? That is a parameter to measure the operational efficiency of the fund, that how that fund is performing in the market. So for that, you have a particular measure that is called as NAV. What is that? The intrinsic value of the unit holder under specific scheme is referred to as NAV of the scheme. The value gives an idea of the amount that may be obtained by the unit holder on the sale of unit of the mutual fund of the company. Right? So NAV is to be disclosed by the mutual fund on a regular basis. That is, that can be disclosed daily or weekly or depending upon the time of the scheme, type of the scheme. Okay. So NAV per unit of all mutual fund schemes have to be updated on AMFI's website. Okay. And mutual funds by website by 9 p.m. of the same day, and funds of the funds are allowed to time till 10 a.m. the following business day to update the information. So you should know how is the actual the functioning, how do they try to disclose. Okay, one example which we can understand, there is a formula how to calculate. So NAV is what? NAV is the net asset of the scheme divided by the number of units outstanding, right? And what is the net asset of the scheme? That is market value of the investment plus receivables plus other accrued income plus other assets minus accrued expenses minus other payables minus other liabilities. So this is a very technical thing, but as such, if until now no question has been asked related to how to calculate the NAV, but you may never know if it could be asked. So you should know what is the formula. So one example here you can see, if the market value of the security of the fund scheme is 200 lakhs and the mutual fund has issued 10 lakh units of rupees 10 each, so the NAV of the fund is rupees 20. So by applying this formula, you will get this answer. Okay. One more example you can see, Mr. X earns 10% on his investment in equity shares. He is considering a recently floated scheme of a mutual fund where the initial expenses are 6% and the annual recurring expenses are expected to be 2%. Okay, how much the mutual fund scheme should earn to provide a return of 10% to Mr. X? So it is one of another example we can understand. Okay, so R2 is equal to 1 divided by 1 minus initial expense into R1 plus recurring expense. So here we can see 1 divided by 1 minus 0.06 multiplied by zero point 0.1, right? That is this, plus 0.02, that is the expected recurring. So here you get finally 0.1264, that is 12.64 is the return that you should get. Okay. So generally these questions are not asked, but still for safer side I have put into. Excuse me. So this question, or rather, this is also related with the securities and portfolio analysis part, but still I have included it. So how you can evaluate the mutual funds? So first one is Sharpe's performance index, and another one is Trainer's performance index. You can go through in detail, right? But just tell you how is the formula. Sharp index means is equal to average portfolio return minus risk-free rate of return divided by standard deviation of portfolio. That is RP minus RF divided by standard deviation P, that is sigma P. The difference between Sharp and Trainer performance is that only difference is the numerator is divided by beta factor, that is market risk of the portfolio, right? So that is beta P. Okay. So what do we try to do? We try to check what is the actual return and what is the expected return. And on the basis of that, we try to do the calculation. Okay. What are the regulations related with SEBI mutual fund? The regulation for governing functioning of mutual fund was introduced by SEBI in December 1996. Right? The objective, the regulation was to bring the existence of regulatory norms for the formation and performance, operation and management of mutual fund in India. So that was the main objective. And the regulation also laid down broad guidelines on investment valuation, investment restriction, and advertising code and code of conduct for mutual fund and AMCs. So in television ads, we generally see that whenever that ad comes there, after it mentioned that read the offer documents carefully before investing. Okay. So this was related with the mutual funds. Okay, so have you understood the mutual funds?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Next one is pension funds. Okay, so the regulatory body of pension fund is Pension Fund Regulatory and Development Authority. Okay. So pension fund means what? It means an intermediary which has been granted a certificate of registration under subsection 3 of section 27 by an authority. So we should note down what are the sections. Meaning is what? As a pension fund for receiving contribution and accumulating them and making payment to the subscriber in the manner as specified by the regulations. Okay. So the regulatory body tells us how the pension fund has to be provided to the pensioners. Okay. So we will not go through in detail related to it. What are the roles and responsibilities? Pension funds are generally responsible for receiving contribution and managing pension corpus through various schemes under NPS, that is National Pension Scheme, in accordance with the provisions of Provident Fund Regulatory Development Act. Okay. And like this. And agreements executed under NPS and other entire region is under NPS Act. Okay. So the pattern is more or less similar to the mutual fund, but here the regulatory body is different. Okay. So you can go through roles and responsibilities. Okay. Thereafter functions you can go through in detail. Okay, I will read out one or two. Okay. The pension fund shall avoid the speculative investment or transaction. The pension fund shall employ the qualified professionals or staff prescribed into. So likewise, various functions similar to the normal mutual fund you can go through. Okay. I will not read out everything. Now, what are the regulations of provident fund? Okay. So provident funds are required to adhere to. We had seen the Provident Fund Authority, Regulatory Authority, Development Authority, right? And PFRD, Pension Fund Regulation, and National Pension Scheme Trust. Okay. So here they provide various rules regarding to it and how they should function. So with the object of the schemes, provision of act, trust deed, rules, regulation, guidelines, etc. has been mentioned. Okay, so here you can see the Provident Fund Regulatory Development Authority Fund. So you can go through these links and further you can understand in detail. Okay. Now what are the list of Provident Fund? Okay, number A, pension fund for government sector. Number B, pension fund for private sector. So here you can see LIC, SBI and UPI. Okay. And similarly on the private part section you can see HDFC, ICICI, Kotak Mahindra, LIC, Pension Fund Limited, thereafter SBI, Pension Fund Private Limited, and Birla Sun Life Pension. So you can go through the links in detail. Okay, what are the schemes? Schemes are related with number A, government sector. So into that, choice of pension fund and choice of investment fund. Number B, NPS Light. Thereafter, Atal Pension Yojana. Thereafter, all citizen unorganized sector. And number E, corporate sector. So it has two schemes: corporate scheme, CG scheme, and other schemes. Okay, so here we have finished our next part. Until now, have you understood? Any difficulty, doubt?
No, sir.
Okay, so next one are financial regulators in India. Okay, you can understand Reserve Bank of India, RBI, IRDA, thereafter SEBI, thereafter state government, SIDBI and NABARD. So these are the regulatory bodies, and on the bottom side, how to whom they regulate. Okay. So regulations is related with whom? Related to the capital market, banking, insurance companies, commodity market, pension funds, everything, whatever was explained in the previous slide. Okay. So primarily in India, the regulation of banks and financial institutions are governed by Banking Regulation Act 1949. Question is asked related to it. An option could be also is also given that RBI is also one of the option. So we could get confused. Okay. But primarily the regulation of banking and financial institutions governed by Banking Regulation Act 1949. Okay. And it was passed in by Banking Companies Act 1949. And further the name was changed as Banking Regulation Act from March 1, 1996. Okay. So these are the regulatory body, important regulatory body. Here you can see First one is the Reserve Bank of India. The sector is banking sector and finance sector. Headquarter is at Mumbai. Then SEBI, it is the sector related to stock and capital market. Headquarter is at Mumbai. There IRDA, that is related with insurance. Headquarter is at Hyderabad. Then Provident Fund Regulatory Department Authority related to pension. Head office New Delhi. Then NABARD related with financing rural development. Head office at Mumbai. Then SIDBI for MSMEs. Office head office is at Lucknow. Then NHB, that is for financing housing, and Insolvency and Bankruptcy Board of India. It involves in the insolvency procedure. Both have headquarters in New Delhi. And finally, Forward Market Commission. So most of them we have covered earlier. So I will just go through the things which we have left out. Okay. So Banking Regulation Act. Okay. What are the important factor points related to that? So what does it do? It regulates all banking financial institutions in India. It was applicable only to banking companies. Thereafter, it was amended in 1965, where cooperative banks were also under its purview. Right? And cooperative banks are formed and run by state government, but licensing and regulation are under the control of RBI. So this act gives RBI the power to license bank. Right? So RBI gets the power from this Banking Regulation Act and have regulation over the shareholding, regulate the operation of banks, supervise the appointment of board and management, thereafter lay down audit instruction, issue directives in interest of public good, control moratorium, merger, liquidation, acquisition, and impose penalties. So all in all, Banking Regulation Act is at the top, and it gives a power to RBI to function accordingly. Okay. Thereafter, SEBI. Okay, Securities Exchange Board of India. Okay, you can go to the website. The link has been provided. So it was established on April 12, 1992. Okay. It monitors and regulates Indian capital and securities market while ensuring to protect the interests of investors, formulating regulation and guidelines to be adhered to. Okay. Its primary function is to safeguard the interest of investors in securities exchange and regulate securities market. Okay. So it has main office at Mumbai and other offices in other metropolitans. Okay. So likewise, it was established to keep pace with the growing requirement and curbing unhealthy practices in securities market. Okay. The main focus is on protecting the investors. Okay, that is the main function or main objectives. Okay. So what are the key mandates of SEBI? Protect the interest of investors, promote development of securities market, and third is regulation of securities market. Okay. And what are the major work done by them? Improvement in market design and regulation, availability of new products, and increasing market and efficiency and transparency. Okay, so these are the three main objectives. Okay, so the objectives we had seen, the same objectives have been mentioned here. I will skip this. Okay, so how do they try to meet those objectives? They try to meet those objectives through the function of number one, protective function, number second, development function, and third, the regulatory function. Okay, So in protective function, they try to protect the investors and provide them safety of investment. Okay, for that, it checks price reading and it prohibits insider trading. For development activities, what do? They try to permit through internet trading through registered stockbrokers. Thereafter, they have made underwriting option to reduce the cost of issue. And third, number C, even initial public offer of private market is permitted through stock exchange. That is for the development functions. And number three, a regulatory function that has been performed through SBI registers and regulates the working of stockbrokers, sub-brokers, share transfer agents, trustees, merchant bankers, and other all those who are involved or associated with stock exchange. Thereafter, SEBI registers and regulates the working of mutual funds that we have seen in the previous slides. Thereafter, SEBI regulates takeover of the companies, and finally, it conducts the inquiries of audit and stock exchange. Okay, so these are further elaborated. You can go through. The SEBI regulates what primary market, secondary market, mutual fund, and foreign institutional investments. Okay. Next is IRDA, that is Insurance Regulatory and Development Authority of India. So you are also aware about the things related to it. Okay. So it was established uh, under the Act of 1999. Right? What for? For regulating and promoting the insurance and reinsurance industry in India. Okay. What is the mission statement? To protect the interest of and secure fair treatment to policy holders. Thereafter, to set, promote, monitor, and enforce high standards of integrity, financial soundness, fair dealing, and competence of those it regulates. Okay, so likewise there are various mission statements. You can go through it. Okay. The key objective of IRDA include promotion of competition so as to enhance customer satisfaction through increased customer choice and lower premium while ensuring financial security in insurance market. So here is the composition. Into that, a chairman, 5 full-time members, and 4 part-time members. All are appointed by the government of India. So these are the acts. We can go through it. Okay. Duties and powers and functions, right? That are also covered here. Can we go through it? Now we will go to PFRDA. Okay, this also pension. So the pension fund regulatory and development authority. It was established on August 23rd, 2003. Right, so we have covered this also in the earlier slides. Thereafter, forward market commission in India. So it was a chief regulatory authority for commodity future markets in India. And the objective of regulation was to exclude from forward dealing operators with insufficient financial services resources and inadequate experience, and prevent all forms of price manipulation. Right? So it is related with commodity future markets. It is a part of a derivative market. So it is a different concept. The Forward Market Commission has been merged with SEBI from the month of September 20th of 2016. Ministry of Corporate Affairs will cover AGs, right, and Chief Minister images. Okay. Here we have finished the paragraph. So have you understood until now?
Yes, sir, you can go ahead.
I can go.
Yeah.
So I have already included too many things. You did not have to go to any study material. Already everything has been covered into it. Okay, just you have to go through. Okay. So next one is financial sector reforms, including financial inclusions. Okay, so it is bit kind of a technical thing or a committee sort of things. So I will just go through what is does that mean. Financial inclusion may be defined as a process of ensuring access to financial services and timely and adequate credit where needed by vulnerable groups such as weaker sections and low-income groups at the end of affordable cost. Okay. So here was a committee which was headed by Chairman Dr. C. Rangarao. Okay. Thereafter, another financial inclusion broadly defined refers to universal access to wide range of financial services at reasonable cost. Right. So what does it mean? Everything, every financial services which are related to an investor or a person who is involved in the financial activity, he should get those services at reasonable cost. So that is called as a financial inclusion. Okay. Essence of financial inclusion is to ensure the delivery of financial services which includes bank accounts of savings and transactional purpose, low cost credit for productive, personal and other purposes, and financial advisory insurance facilities, that is life and non-life insurance. Okay, that is the meaning of financial inclusion. Here is the household access to financial services, where you can see access, contingency planning, credit and health insurance. So contingency, if you have contingency, you can see that. So retirement saving, buffer saving, insurance of contingencies. Credit, you can see business liability, emergency loans and housing loans and consumption loans. And wealth creation, savings and investment based on household level of financial literacy and risk perception. Okay. Will not go to any detail, right, is required. Okay. So the extent of financial exclusion is the extent of financial exclusion from different perspective and regulatories is described here. The Government of India Population Census 2011. Thereafter, receive NFSO, RBI reports, IMF Financial Assist Survey and NAMA. Okay, they are exclusion. So as such, we have seen that main objective is to provide various facilities at a cheaper cost. That is the main objective of financial inclusion. Okay. What were the committees involved into the financial inclusion are number one, the Rangarajan Committee, thereafter Dr. Usha Devat Committee, thereafter Professor W. Rajan, thereafter Kanchikit More Committee, thereafter Receive Report and Jalna. Okay, so these were the committees involved into it. What are the causes of financial inclusion? That is lack of surplus income, lack of trust in system, not suitable to the requirement, high transaction cost, lack of requisite document, reportfulness of source service provider, lack of awareness about the product, and finally, poor quality of services. So these are the causes why we do require financial inclusion. Okay. So here is a financial triad. Here we have financial inclusion policies, and third, here you can see settle customer payments and process better, and finally financial literacy initiative. So question could be asked, what is the financial inclusion triad? Okay, you should know this. Okay. So need of financial inclusion, there is no transaction account, deposit, time deposit, financial advice, insurance, etc. So here we have finished the next part, and we are going to start the next topic, that is insurance. This is the last topic. Okay. So until now, any difficulty doubts do you have?
No, sir.
So quickly we will go through.
Hello. Hi, yes. Good evening, Taji.
Very late meeting.
You have your this thing, your Google Pay account or Paytm?
Okay. So
Actually,
please
just give me some message on that. Hi, hello. Okay, on phone pay.
indicated that will be minimized, right?
On the same.
Right. By
Because I am not done with certificate and all. So what your that month has started? What is Ramadan? Okay. Okay. Anyway, because I have withdrawn that 10,000, because that is what has been approved to me, right? So I'll be transferring 10,000 only, because the rest of the amount was not approved by the college. Okay. And certificate and all I'll be giving you afterwards. Okay. Fine. Just send me. Right. Exactly. Okay. Just send me across here this thing, because rest of the thing I'll be paying, because we didn't got any sponsorship. Rest of the thing I'll be managing on my own. Don't worry about it. Okay? Fine.
the risk can be handled in the company. Okay, this is the first one is avoiding, second one is controlling, third one is restricting, and conserving. Avoiding means, for example, not investing into stock options. So you try to avoid it. Second, controlling the risk of financial probability by managing nothing efficiently control. Accepting ultimately to know that there will be a financial loss in the future. And finally, you are transferring to the insurance company. These are the methods how you can handle this. Okay. So same thing has been given in different format: reduction of risk, managing of risk, the reduction by risk management, restricting of transferring, accepting risk, and spreading of risk. So we have indicated this in here. Right. So what is the concept? Insurance is a contract between two parties, where one party is insured and another party is insured. Okay. Insured is the person whose life or property is insured with the insurer. That is the person whose risk is insured. He is called insured. Okay. Whether ये person insurance company का टाटा है, insurance policy निकालता है, उसे कहते हैं undertaken pursuant insurance is a practice or arrangement by which company or government agency provides a guarantee of compensation for specified loss, damage, illness, or death in return of monetary okay. So what is the concept? Insurance is a contract between which insurance company or insurer agrees to pay certain sum of money to the insurer to compensate loss caused by occurrence of uncertain event in consideration of certain periodical payment, that is called as premium. Most of the focus on this chapter, that is only definition of the what definition of the so what are the basic terms used in insurance? Contract quote is a fighting by law to fighting binding by an agreement binding by document which contains all the terms and conditions, that is called as insurance policy. Insured understood understood the policy holder. Insurer is the insurance company. Beneficiaries are the persons who will get the policy proceeds after the happening of that convenience are called as beneficiaries. Premium, the amount which is paid to the insurer by the insured in consideration of insurance contract. We are also aware about it. Insured sum, that is the maximum liability of the insurer towards the insurer. Indemnity, it is nothing but the compensation of the actual loss suffered. Okay. Peril is an event that is caused by personal or property loss by some natural event. Okay. And hazard is a condition that is aroused or created by danger. Exposure is the measure of physical event that is government has nothing but the unstamped document issued by or on behalf of issuer as an evidence of insurance premium or policy. Opium basis, that is it is not important. Double insurance, in this case, double insurance implies that the subject matter is insured with two or more insurance companies. Factors which are relating to insurability respect daily annuity, moral hazards, and adverse situation. Reinsurance. Reinsurance means what? It is a method whereby the original insurer transfers all or part of risk he has assumed to another company or organization with an object of reducing both company benefit. इसका मतलब क्या है कि एक एक्स कंपनी है उसने इंश्योरेंस कंपनी ने यूजर ए का इंश्योरेंस किया हुआ है तो उसने क्या किया वो एक्स कंपनी ने उसका कुछ पोर्शन जो है वो दूसरी कंपनी वाई कंपनी उसके साथ उसी जो पर्टिकुलर थिंग है उसका इंश्योरेंस किया हुआ है दैट इज कॉल्ड एज रिइंश्योरेंस। हो सकता है पूरा का पूरा पोर्शन हो रिइंश्योरेंस या फिर पार्ट इंश्योरेंस, that is called as reinsurance. So have you understood the concept of reinsurance?
Yes, sir.
Let us go through in detail what are the basic factors. Facultative insurance, that is which is negotiated separately for each insurance policy, that is reinsurance. And second is trading reinsurance, means ceding company and transferring pollution. So directly related history of the industry of this quickly related how insurance companies started, fire insurance companies started, motor insurance companies. So I will just skip this. Okay. Also, Indian history of insurance is covered in here. Oriental Life Assurance Company in 1818 was the first life insurance company. Okay. Likewise, you can go to Indian industry. Okay. I am just skipping it. This we have seen what are the first life insurance companies. Okay. Yes. Now, what are the main principles of
And
insurance?
other allied economic activities which are prevailing in
First one is principle of partnership.
one
There are insurance insurable interest, indemnity, contribution, subrogation,
financial
loss
assistance.
minimization,
Finally, for
or the
R&D
profit.
purposes,
So
robotic
first one is principle of utmost caution. That means both the parties, insurer and insured should have a good faith between them. That means the insured should provide all the information that impacts the subject matter, and also the insurer should provide all the details regarding the इंश्योरेंस कॉन्ट्रैक्ट. दोनों ने भी क्या करना चाहिए, दोनों ने भी गुड फेथ में जो जो इंफॉर्मेशन उनके पास अवेलेबल है दे शुड एक्सचेंज विद इन देमसेल्व्स. दैट इज utmost caution. Right. So in life insurance we can see name, address, etc., date of birth. Fire insurance we can mention the ancestral and discretionary benefit, etc. And marine insurance, name of the shipper, description of goods or water going into the boat. Number second, principle of insurable interest. Okay. So insurable interest, that means the insured must have the insurable interest in the subject matter. Right. So in case of insurable life insurance, spouse and dependents have an insurable interest in the life insurance. Likewise, everyone has a particular subject matter as covered in this insurable interest. So, life insurance, husband, wife, mother, fire insurance, owners in property, partners in property, health insurance, owners, etc. Principle of indemnity. Third, indemnity means compensation. Right. So we have to use this to protect the
occurs
insured.
at disabilities.
Right. What was happened before the event? The position was something different. So we have to make the same position what it was earlier. So that is called as the indemnity. That is what compensation. Okay. Indemnity means a security to put the insured in the position as he was before the accident. And the important thing to note down it that it does not apply to life insurance companies. Okay. Number four is principle of contribution. Right. So in case of insured, look for more than one insurance policy. जैसे एक ही पॉलिसी दो लोगों के पास अगर वो इन्वेस्ट करता है, पॉलिसी निकालता है, तो उसको अगर हम लॉस होता है तो दोनों जगह से प्रॉफिट नहीं कर सकते. So here we use an example. Rai has a property of rupees 5 lakhs. It took the insurance from a company A of rupees 3 lakhs and from company B rupees 1 lakh. Now in case of accident occurs, A has a loss of rupees 3 lakhs. So Raj can claim from from party A company rupees 3 lakhs. Right. So he has got the loss of 3 lakhs. But now what A can do, A can make a claim and contribute from the proportionately from company B. Whereas Raj number 5 is principle of subrogation. Subrogation enables the insured to claim the amount of the third party responsible for loss. So the third party insurance company thereafter principle of loss minimization, that is, it states that insured must take all the necessary steps to minimize the loss. Insured has to. For example, RAM took insurance policy for his house, he selected class as 1. He should have called the nearest fire police station so that the loss was minimized. So कोशिश करनी चाहिए loss को कम करने की. And seventh one is cause of causing. That is nearest cause. So generally whenever we see there is an short fire accident, fire goes out. So generally we see what is the nearest cause short circuit हो गया इसकी वजह से fire go कर कल कोई होता है here you can get a tax benefit, right? Income tax act, and as per section 80C and 80 here is a chart of all the types of insurance, life insurance, health insurance, insurance, general insurance, fire and marine, personal accident, vehicle, property and key value insurance. Miscellaneous are fidelity guarantee insurance, crop insurance, body, flood, liability and casualty insurance. For the standard insurance product, Corona products, Corona corruption and Russia corruption and standard term insurance provides coverage for a specified time. In case of death, policy total term death, some percentage is included. In case survival, in case of survival for a specific period, nothing is whole life का मतलब पूरी it carries specific benefits regardless of whether it survives in the period or not. दोनों किस्मों का benefit मिलेगा enrollment and what maturity amount either to the insured or the borrower on death policy. Likewise, various other yes. Whole life में क्या बोल रहे हैं पूरी लाइफ अगर आपने सर्वाइव कि मेरा ट्रेड है ठीक है अगर 100 ईयर ऑफ लाइफ के लिए आपने पॉलिसी करना ठीक है आपको पूरी लाइफ के एंड तक वो आपको पूरे पैसे मिलेंगे राइट बट इन केस ऑफ डेथ द सम एश्योर्ड इज आल्सो कंसिडर्ड तो वन लाइफ का मतलब क्या है पूरी लाइफ टर्म इंश्योरेंस का मतलब क्या है 10 साल 20 साल 15 साल दैट मीन्स एट द एज ऑफ 75 ईयर्स टर्म 75 years तक तो इंसान क्योंकि सर्वाइव तो उसको कोई भी बेनिफिट नहीं होगा, लेकिन 75 years से पहले अगर वो मर गया, कुछ हो गया, तो उनको नॉमिनी को पैसा मिलेगा, ठीक है, सर्वाइवल बेनिफिट नहीं मिलेगा, उनको ये मिलेगा क्योंकि 75 के ऊपर भी सर्वाइव ये लाइफ में होल लाइफ में क्या है, पूरी की पूरी लाइफ 100 years तक तो उनको क्या करें इंश्योर है, ठीक है, और एंडोमेंट में क्या करेंगे वो लोग, एंडोमेंट में आइदर वो मैच्योरिटी डेट यानी 75 years तक तो जिंदा रहेगा तब भी पैसे मिलेंगे, 75 के ऊपर उठ गए तब भी पैसे मिलेंगे, ठीक है, और बस इन दोनों कंडीशन में डेथ या फिर कुछ भी होता है तो नॉमिनी को पैसे मिलेंगे। इज दैट क्लियर नाउ? ओके। एनएलटी से लेके क्या है, इंटरनल मतलब पेमेंट करना, ठीक है, एनएलटी शॉर्ट इज कॉल्ड एज एनएलटी। गवर्नमेंट लेजिस्लेशन क्या है, इंश्योरेंस एक्ट 1938 इंश्योरेंस डिस्कशन नेशनलाइजेशन ऑफ एलआईसी पॉलिसी, देयर आफ्टर इंश्योरेंस रेगुलेटरी एंड डेवलपमेंट अथॉरिटी ऑफ इंडिया, ठीक है, ये पहले की बात हो गई है। These are some other important statements. टर्म इंश्योरेंस प्लान जैसे आपको पता भी है क्या है, ठीक है, 10 years 20 years और 30 years, फिर ऐसे एंडोमेंट पॉलिसी में क्या है, एंडोमेंट पॉलिसी इज इक्वल टू डेथ बेनिफिट्स प्लस सर्वाइवल बेनिफिट्स, ठीक है, दोनों ही कंडीशन में 75 years से पहले भी पैसे मिल सकते हैं, बाद में भी पैसे मिल सकते हैं, यूलिप क्या है, यूनिट लिंक पॉलिसी प्लान्स इसके अंदर में स्टॉक मार्केट में इंश्योरेंस का पार्टिसिपेशन किया जाता है, ठीक है, इसकी सब्सिडी यूलिप के अंदर क्लासिफाइड एज इंश्योरेंस, इक्विटी बॉन्ड्स, रियल एस्टेट, मनी मार्केट इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स, देयर आफ्टर डिविडेंड दैट इज नॉन रिटर्न इक्विटीज, इंडेक्स लिंक दैट इज इक्विटी बॉन्ड्स और मनी मार्केट इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स, ठीक है, so these are the majorly insurance types. Group insurance means in a company or in a corporate, the employees of the company are known for getting group life insurance policy. तो उसमें से एक अगर कभी कुछ होता है तो उसके अगेंस्ट में उनको क्या मिलेगा, बेनिफिट मिलेगा, दैट इज कॉल्ड एज ग्रुप लाइफ इंश्योरेंस। So in the manufacturing companies, we will find this kind of insurance policy. Okay. So finally, just finish out and what I will say to you. So related to the topic premium. Okay. So finish the whole topic of premium with salary and financial insurance. Okay.
Well, thank you so much, sir, for your comprehensive, in-depth, and wonderful presentation. In fact, you have taken lot of pain and lot of trouble preparing all this transparency. In fact, I've lost my power today. That's why we are not live also. But I'll try to put all this recording. I'm recording this thing because this is the last part which
Okay, sir.
didn't wait live, and I could not put on the camera also because that bandwidth is not there. I'm doing it from a mobile. Okay. But it was really wonderful, sir. Very was such a excellent and comprehensive. I would say you took more than how much? It's more than 6 hour marathon sort of thing, which you have, which actually, yeah.
Yes,
In
sir.
fact, you have given
I
justice
wanted to
to
cover everything.
right,
Sir, I wanted to cover up everything because
right, right,
when we were students, we did not have to go through any study material. We were focusing on only on short notes.
right, right.
So I think so that this PPT would be helpful for them even if they refer for any exam, not
Right,
only
right.
for this exam,
Right.
they appear for any other exams also.
In fact,
About everything.
yeah, in fact, I would say this will become a Bible for this particular unit, and it is more of a book now. Actually, it's not a presentation. It's sort of a Bible in short for all the
Yes,
NET
sir.
aspiring candidate. And sir, I'll definitely request you to kindly share your PPT. And in fact, I think we can.
Yes, sir.
What we can do is we can get it published. I'll get a ISBN number for this. That can be done, right? So
Okay,
because
okay.
how many slides are there?
Okay, fine.
How many slides are there in all?
Sir, more than 500, sir.
Oh my God! So
More than
we yeah,
516.
Chaitanya, I'll take care of that. I'll give a ISBN number to it. Don't worry.
Okay, sir.
Okay, and we'll get it published. At least a soft copy,
Okay, sir.
and few hard copies also. That will be sort of what.
Yes, sir.
It will be it will come from our IJCAM's group. Don't worry about it, right? And we'll post it on our
Right.
website also, because it's being really wonderful.
Okay.
And the amount of effort should not go waste. This is what I personally feel. So just send it across. In fact, you need not hurry it out.
Thank you, sir.
If you want to make few changes, that can be done, and this
Yes,
can
sir.
be published as a ISBN book.
Okay, sir.
Definitely means you can put it to your credit, right?
Okay, sir.
And this should be accounted for. This should be this should be somewhere down the line rewarded, and I would say merited for, right? Thank you so much, sir, and for a wonderful and such a nice presentation. In fact, the student they will be going through the videos, but unfortunately, because of the power cut down, I do not know why it went off. But I'll try to put the upload the remaining part. Only half of the hours we have missed out. Rest
Okay.
most of the part went
sir.
live. Okay. So once again, thank you, Chaitanya sir.
Right.
Just whatever thing again you'd like to add to your PPT, you can take your time, and we can get it immediately
Okay.
published as an ISBN number. Okay,
Okay.
right, sir. Thank you
Okay,
so
sir.
much,
Okay.
and wish
Thank
we
you.
we meet again.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Arshad.